You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
It is put a little smile on your face. You better be 14, baby, or I'm gonna throw you back in for being too old.
It all sounds like some bad movie.
Oh, it sure does. Oh, hey there. Oh, yeah. Oh, let's get this in there. Nice. Angel.
I found my mute button.
Oh, sweet.
I found my mute button.
You found it.
Yeah. I think we're good for going.
Nice.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to Moviesucktastic.
Oh man, yeah. I think we gotta get it. We gotta do something other than. Oh, let me get the mic in front of me. Other than Skype, I hate the way your video shows up. Mine is nice and, Actually, hold on. Let me get this so I'm looking at you.
Well, this is Moviesucktastic. The one that doesn't like Skype is Joey. The one telling you about it is Scott.
I never said I didn't like it. I just think. Oh wait, shit. That's not what I wanted.
I'm in agreement. And besides Tech Talk, we're here today to talk about we're going to review a movie. We're going to review the 1983 blockbuster hit Angel.
Well, they did make 2 more movies after this, so.
Yes.
I mean, now, vigilante stuff was all the rage in the 80s, so.
This isn't really a vigilante film, though.
It doesn't turn the next two films turn into vigilante movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The second one is far more vigilante themed.
So,
this one is
So this movie... No, I'm sorry. I think the best way I could describe this film is like Taxi Driver in reverse. And like Taxi Driver in Bizarro Land. Like he kills the prostitutes instead of trying to save the prostitute.
Yeah, Taxi Driver with a different psycho. Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, like they even go through great lengths to show you like him without his shirt and him working out, and he's all ripped, but he's like very, very lean and thin, kind of like the way De Niro was in Taxi Driver. And
this of course is the killer, who's played by John Deal. And they even had like him in like a porno theater at one point. I'm like, this is just kind of like Taxi Driver. They just kind of took a couple of things they liked from that movie, didn't they? It's like it goes like, hey, why aren't you jerking off over here?
Get your dirty feet off the seats.
Man, the ushers in the porn places look nice.
Right? I mean, like he had his feet on the seat, and the guy was so pissed off about it, he went and got the cops. It's like, get this fucking animal out of here.
Well, he did get the cops because he recognized him from the wanted posters. I think that was.
I mean, it was a drawn wanted poster, but.
Oh, I love the wanted poster. It's great. But we're jumping ahead. We gotta get the basic.
We're jumping ahead.
Basic story behind Angel. Now it's a 1983. I'd call it exploitation cinema. Kind of an interesting leap into the 80s. It's the same kind of thing you would have made in the 70s. It's definitely a 70s theme. An underage girl whose parents both leave her, and so she becomes a prostitute to put herself through, a nice
through school. Yep.
Yeah, and so she becomes a prostitute on the streets of Sunset Boulevard, or is
Hollywood Boulevard. It's Hollywood
Boulevard.
Yeah,
different one, right? But the thing that kind of astonished me about this is, unlike if it was done in the 70s, the film really doesn't get too explicit sexually, and is actually a lot more well-made than you would expect from the theme.
This is true, and here's the thing. So what I think, this is just my own guess, the actress who's something Wilkes, what was her name? Susan Wilkes?
Donna Wilkes.
Donna Wilkes, okay.
Yes,
I don't think...
Interesting backstory.
She doesn't... I'm pretty sure she does not want to do nudity. She contractually
sure.
figured out, like, we're not doing nudity. So, but because she's a high school student by day and a hooker by night, people are kind of expecting nudity. They're kind of expecting some sexual situations. So what they strategically did throughout the film is they throw in a couple of topless scenes that, like elsewhere in the movie, just to kind of get that get that fix in. Scenes. Like a different prostitute might be topless. High school locker room scene.
And unfortunately, the dead girl we get to see topless, which I kind of called Nix on. I was like, no, we shouldn't be doing this. This is a different. I mean, you know why? Because up to that point, the film was very respectful, and I felt it was kind of crossing a line we'd agreed upon. Well,
think of it this way: like the high school locker room scenes, they very specifically say that these girls are like 14, 15, 16. They're all underage and they're all topless.
We got full frontal.
Full frontal in the shower as well. Yeah, it's not Porky's.
We got Bush.
It's not Porky's.
We got Bush. It's Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, pan down.
Stop that.
But no, it was interesting that you said the film is from 1983. It premiered in the Netherlands in 1983, and that's how it got that 1983 stamp, even though literally every other country on the list was 1984, including the U.S.
That's why it says 1983 on IMDb, but my Plex server says 1984.
Exactly.
Which, so in those kind of situations, I always have to go with IMDb. But,
Well, yeah, if you're going to put it on your Plex and you want it to metadata right, you got to put the year that it wants.
Now, did you check out the backstory of the actress that plays the 14-year-old prostitute?
No, I have not. But
okay,
one of the things I'm going to say about her is there is an uncanny doppelganger-like resemblance to a more modern actress today whose name is Florence Pugh.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone has seen like Midsommar, and even if you know her from other films like Black Widow or Midsommar.
The lead from Midsommar?
Sommer, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
It's Midsommar. Anyway,
I don't care, and I don't see.
Oh, it's apparent that you don't care because you're pronouncing it incorrectly. Anyhow, she looks, Florence Pugh, He knows I'm sipping rye, but he's going to give me shit about my pronunciation. That's all I'm going to say. I am.
I'm just going to underline that.
That's okay. That's fine. It's fine. I have no idea how much rye you've ingested, so I'm assuming that you are good to do the show. We'll put it that way.
I just don't see the resemblance. That's all.
You don't see the resemblance between Florence Pugh and this woman?
I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying I don't see it.
So this is similar to when we reviewed Times Square, and the one actress from Times Square, where I said she looked uncannily like the actress from Death Proof, and you were like, "Yeah, I don't see it." So then I did a side-by-side photo and I posted it on Moviesucktastic. Case closed. I think I'm gonna have to do it again. Is what it sounds like.
I'm not throwing down a gauntlet. I just don't see it good. Personally. It's like the red-green dress, whatever the fuck. I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm just saying I personally don't see it. That's all.
Well, you're what I like to call wrong, so that's fine.
Okay, I'll take that. I'm not willing to argue it. I'll take the ding.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy how much she looks like Florence Pugh, or Florence Pugh looks like her.
What I found interesting about her is I looked into her background, and she has a kind of similar background as far as like her father divorced her mother when she was 3 months old.
Wow.
She was acting at a young age, like 4 years old, but then she stopped at 11 to go to school. Here's where I thought was very interesting. She graduated high school at 14, the same age as our young prostitute.
So she's a genius.
Well, she's smart. All right, I would say, okay.
Listen, I think to graduate high school 3 years early, you're probably genius level.
Yeah, or you know somebody, but she's very smart. And
Sure.
so, but then she fled because she couldn't find any good jobs at that young of age. She went to California and lied about her age and said she was 18 when she was actually 15. So I just find it interesting. We're watching someone who was 23 years old at the time playing a 14-year-old character. Meanwhile, when she was 15, she actually passed for 18.
Interesting.
I just find that wild.
No, it's that is an interesting comparison, parallel, whatever you want to call it. No, that's wow. That's pretty interesting stuff. Oh, there's the poster of her on the cover.
I wasn't, I usually don't look back much into the biographies of actors, but I mean, when she's playing a 14-year-old prostitute, and I was like, she can't be, even though they're not showing her, and the fact that they didn't show her naked at all, I was like, all right, so she's definitely underage. So I had to look that up. It was like, oh no, she's in her 20s. So good for her.
I mean, I knew she was of age. I did, but I just figured she just wasn't interested in. She had a nudity clause,
well,
so
I knew that when I saw. So, what's your take on the film? As far, I mean, we are introduced to the character going through her daily school life, and then we see her at night when she becomes
prostitute.
Angel.
She's Molly. Molly during the day.
Right, and she's Angel at night because Angel was the nickname her father gave her. So, pardon me, ew. And they play that for sentimental. They show the framed photo of and it's like, to my angel, and you're supposed to go, oh, and it's like, no, that's her tricking name. Ew. No.
I have never seen this film before. I have not seen the sequels. I'm assuming you have. Oh, really?
No, this is the first time I saw this. I grew up with the advertising, but I never watched it.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming Dad comes back in one of these sequels.
I'm assuming not.
I don't know, man.
But,
listen, this is the 80s, and it's just chock full of bad writing. They're definitely Dad's coming back.
Okay, if he does, it's a bad call. I will say that.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying. I think Daddy's coming home.
Okay. So, and while we're introduced to her on the streets, we meet her kind of her surrogate family, which is an aged Western star. Rory
Calhoun.
Right, Rory Calhoun playing Tom Mix, I think.
No. Tom Mix was the guy that he kept talking about throughout the film. His name was like Kit something.
That's right, Kit Carson.
That's right.
And then also the other prostitutes that she hangs out with,
right.
And an older protective. I'm assuming he's a prostitute, or he. Are
we talking about Dick Shawn?
Dick Shawn, as May.
He does say he's a prostitute. He makes a joke when he licks when he licks the guy's nose. He goes, "That's $5." Or like there was something. What was it? It was maybe at the diner where he's like, "I get more money for that on the street," or something like that. He's definitely a prostitute.
It was indirect. Yeah, you're right. So I kind of, but so and them along with the landlord where she lives. Who's played by Susan Tyrrell.
Susan Tyrell.
Susan Tyrell, who is like she's been in old John Waters films. A very distinctive actress.
Yes.
Very
distinct voice. I mean, she even did voiceover work in the animated film Fire and Ice. I mean, yeah.
And the one thing I was surprised about the film was I thought they had a very positive representation of the two gay characters, Susan Tyrell and Dick Shawn.
Yes.
And
even as like parental figures to her.
And like they felt like real people. It wasn't stereotypical, and they didn't play off of any tropes or
right.
They really just played. And actually, this film won an award with the lesbian and gay. Won a lesbian and gay award. It's the one award the film won.
Was this back in the 80s, or was this something more modern?
80s.
Yeah,
no,
it was.
This was back in the 80s.
It was in the 80s?
Because because it was called Lesbian and Gay. It wasn't Gay and Lesbian or LGBT or anything. So they're still working on the name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, because I know a lot of times they will honor films, you know, in modern times, like now, looking back at, say, a film like this, and they'll recognize the film, how you know, of its importance because of what we were just talking about.
No, here we go. San Francisco International Lesbian and Gay Film Festival. It was the 1984 winner for the Audience Award, Best Feature.
Cool.
Yep.
No,
so,
that's awesome. That's great.
So the community,
and the fact that it was in the 80s is even better.
Yeah, so the gay community even acknowledged and recognized what a kind of a positive angle the film. The film actually puts a kind of a positive spin on prostitution, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it. I mean, the film's against it. Don't get me wrong. And
right.
I think the greatest example of how the film is against it is the cameo by what's his name? God damn it, from the John Carpenter films. The fuck is his name?
Oh,
they have him so low on the credits. He plays the John.
Yeah, the guy that was like, "You better be 14, kid."
Peter Jason. Because Peter Jason, he's in the hotel. He turns around. The first thing I think is like, how come I'm not in a John Carpenter film? This isn't a John Carpenter film. What's going on here? And like his whole performance is like, fuck you. This is not John Carpenter. I'm giving you 0%. I felt about him. But like he was like the worst it got as far as representing like their job as bad,
right?
Because they did have the undercover cop trying to arrest Angel, and he came off sleazier than a regular John.
He really did.
This is like, why did they send me out on these jobs? Because you look like filth, John. Get back in the car. Holy shit. Are we sure he's like, I'm off duty, by the way.
Man.
But I mean, the film, it's an exploitation film, but it's got soft edges. Like everything's kind of like familial again with the second family, and even when the hard-nosed cop, who I actually know. What's his name? Cliff Gorman. He plays Lieutenant Andrews, the tough cop who wants to help Angel get out of this line of business work.
Yeah.
I actually remember him from a film called Cops and Robbers. It's an obscure '70s film that's based on an obscure novel by, I want to say, I forgot the name of the author now. But I'll think of it like in 10 minutes and blurt it out. But yeah, I mean, like he's been in a lot of stuff, so I kind of recognized him even though he looks older, because he's older. And I just kind of totally went off on a tangent on that. But
that's all right.
I mean, yeah, the film's got soft edges. It really. I enjoyed the film. I thought. I thought a prostitution film, like the ickiest part of the whole film was the serial killer.
Yeah.
I would compare this film to Streets.
Similar.
Except Streets is far more realistic.
Yeah, this is true.
Especially because like these aren't kids that are like, oh, I'm gonna turn tricks so I can pay the rent and go to school. It's like, no, I'm living on the street and turning tricks because I need heroin.
Yeah, right.
It really makes you realize how much closer that film was to being a true representation. And it had its serial killer, and this serial killer was almost just like consequential. It's like, yeah, they're going to die one way or the other. But here they make the street seem so safe in some regards for Angel. That the serial killer is
real quick.
Like
this guy that's on the screen now, which is the high school like kind of bully, the one that they drive up and it's like, that's Molly. Yeah. I'm going out of my mind looking at him because he's in a couple of other scenes earlier. He's trying to like ask her out, and she rejects him, and then they're driving around Hollywood Boulevard looking for action. It's like similar to that. It's like similar to that scene in Boogie Nights. Yes, similar to that.
When they're driving around and they're like, "Oh, I remember you from high school. Yeah, now you got to put out." And you're like, "Oh," and then she curb stomps him with roller skates.
Yes. So anyway, I'm watching. It's like every time he's on the screen, I'm like, I know this guy. He's in something, and I don't know what it is, but I'm going out of my fucking mind, and I'm like, I know him. So decide to look him up. He's in the video game Sewer Shark. So back in the 90s, back in the early 90s, when the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo were out, Sega came out with this add-on peripheral called a Sega CD. And what you would do is you would take the Sega CD and you would open up the port on the bottom of the Genesis, and then you would snap the Genesis into the Sega CD. And what it would do is it would allow you to play video games through the Sega CD and the Genesis. And it used the console, the power of the Genesis and the power of the Sega CD to play these games on disc. It was one of the first times it was ever done, you know. Like TurboGrafx kind of did it first as a video game console, but then Sega did it. And what Sega did is they released a lot of these like video games. They were like Night Trap and what? Yeah,
we would call them FMVs now, or full motion.
Correct, full motion video games. And Sewer Shark was one of the games, and you're flying through the sewer with this, this flying contraption through the sewer, and he's the guy yelling at you. He's like, "Come on, rookie!" Like he's the guy who was doing. I'm like, that's who he fucking is. I'm sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent, but I had to let
that's great.
everybody know that this guy's biggest claim to fame, other than this movie, was being in a fucking video game that I played in the early '90s.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. I am not familiar with that game. I never had a Sega, so I did not have the luxury of sailing with the Sewer Shark.
It was an alright game. I mean, it wasn't worth the price of admission. We'll put it that way.
Well, I think Angel was the price of admission.
I did like the film. I don't think I'd keep it in my collection. I mean, maybe I'd change my mind, but.
And let's talk about John Deal too as the killer, who doesn't have any dialogue until the end. Until he gets shot down by Rory Calhoun. Oh, I wanted to mention very briefly Rory Calhoun, who plays Kit Carson. They're walking up and down Hollywood Boulevard. Rory Calhoun actually has a star.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, I just happened to notice that. I was like, I wonder if it's like noticeable in the film when you go through. I didn't look. And
you know what? In the opening of the movie, Molly is walking down Hollywood Boulevard, and they are cleaning a couple of stars, and I'm curious if his is one of them.
I'm not curious enough to look, but like when I saw that, I was like, I wonder if they put that in there.
It's interesting. Yeah, because he was dedicated. He was not a big actor, but he was in a ton of stuff. He was definitely a revered actor in the 50s and 60s and on. So
yeah, he was pretty, except for the homeless part, he was pretty much playing himself in the film.
Correct.
There's not really much of a gap there between Rory and Kit Carson.
No, not really.
Yeah, except I'm pretty sure Rory Calhoun doesn't live in a warehouse.
He probably didn't.
Probably did, at least back then. Yeah, who knows what's going on now.
And they gave him a bigger part than I was expecting. So when she's going up Hollywood Boulevard and she's talking, to May, which is played by Dick Shawn, and and all that, and she has all these interactions, and you kind of, not that they're throwaway scenes, but they're interactions. But then she goes and she gets a gun, and she wants to learn how to shoot it, so she goes to him, and it's like, all right, he shows her how to do it. But then the climax of the film heavily involves him. And
well, he does have two guns.
He does.
You know the term Chekhov's gun.
Yes. So
I mean, when they show him holding the guns, and the cop's like, "If you didn't have blanks there, I'd have to pull you in." There's like, well, someone's gonna die with those things. We know that.
Well, I kind of thought he was gonna get murdered. I knew May was gonna get killed. I actually hold on. That's the thing. I knew May was going to die. I just thought it was going to happen way earlier in the movie, where it was going to be like, oh man, that's, not that I was going to be upset about it. I just figured, okay, it's, just another part of the body count. But when it's near the end of the film, I was really fucking bummed.
You had so much more time with the character, and I thought they would end up having her survive.
Yeah, and the thing is too, when he's talking to her, I think that's her principal. She comes to the apartment complex.
Yeah.
When they have that great interaction between the two of them, and they cut to them, and the scene starts out with, get her off the streets, have her concentrate on her schoolwork. Let's get that done. And then they both have this like super great not relationship, but interaction where they're even like, hey, where'd you get that dress? Oh, I got it on sale, blah, 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 here and there. And then the fucking lunatic, the killer, comes and they have, a huge fight, and that's when May dies. But it bummed me out. It bummed me out.
Yeah, I was upset because I was kind of thinking, well, we already killed off a couple of prostitutes, the other friends. Can't we just, we already found out like her parents ditched her when she was like fucking 9. So can we let May survive? Like, I like May's, and no, May's dead. So, God damn it!
Gotta go. Oh, here's the scene. It's actually on the screen right now. That's the scene.
Speaking of the teacher, I don't think it's a principal. I think it's a teacher.
Just the teacher.
Yeah, but speaking of her, for a film that kind of candy coats prostitution, underage prostitution a little bit, I mean just a tad, the film's still more realistic than the scene where she suddenly turns Rambo against the landlord.
Oh yeah,
it's just like, and when she first grabs her, she says "dick face," and I heard something bad, and I was like, oh, I had to rewind it to make sure. I was like, oh no, she didn't say the F word, and I was like, oh wow, but no, it was just like dick face, but the way she said it fast, it's like this almost got really dark. But that whole part seemed a little unnatural.
A little bit.
Yeah. Now, but the killer.
I mean,
I think
her eyebrows were the landlord's eyebrows were comic relief in every scene.
She's a very unique actress. She's always had with her hair and her eyebrows. Again, if you check out early John Waters stuff, she's in a bunch of that stuff too.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
But I thought the killer was a great killer for. Now I think I mentioned to you I'm reading that Quentin Tarantino book.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, the new Quentin Tarantino book. I've been reading some chapters on it. I'm avoiding all the stuff about his personal life. I just wanted to hear what you think about films. And the chapter he had on Dirty Harry kind of made an interesting point that up until then, cop films were really more focused on the mafia, organized crime, gangsters and stuff. But Dirty Harry kind of set the tone for cop films and serial killers. And after that, serial killers kind of became the new vogue in cop movies. You always had to have a serial killer. And this is like a perfect example of that.
It is. It absolutely is.
And I think, unlike some films that do serial killers wrong, I personally think the 10 to Midnight serial killer is not believable in the least.
Oh.
A bit over the top. But like this serial killer, just like the whole egg sucking scene, no one will be seated during the egg sucking scene.
Right. And so I don't know if John Deal was like a method type actor, but the things that he does in this movie, I'm like, I have a feeling that he's going method a lot to it. Like when he's doing that egg scene, he's just like, he's really sucking on that egg. And then it gets to the point of where he just eats the whole eggshell and spits it out. And I'm like, yeah. And wouldn't be surprised if they did that take more than once. Because he's method and he's like, we got to do it. We got to do it.
And the egg sucking in front of the picture of him and his mother is not subtle metaphor.
No.
But they drag it on so long that it just becomes horrific, and you're even beyond that. By the time that scene's done, you're beyond that point. You're just like, yeah, this guy is fucking horrible with eggs. I don't even care. Yeah, the picture with the mother with the hand on his lap. I was like, oh boy, this film's not. This film's just like cutting right to the chase. Angel and both Angel and him are obsessed about their parents too, which I think is an interesting correlation.
Well, earlier in the film, the cop, doesn't he say, it's like, who do you think it is? He goes, well, I'll tell you what I think about him. I bet he has mom issues, and he can't get an erection. He's not actually having sex with it's like he went down a whole laundry list of things wrong with the guy, and the film...
It was 100% accurate.
It was 100%.
More accurate than the artist rendering.
Oh my God, it's a terrible render. Thin eyes. Like, what?
So you use with your feet? What the fuck? Where'd you...
Couldn't have drawn that nose a little better? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, and he shows her. She's like, yeah, that's him. It's like, no, it's not. Stop, Angel. What are you doing? You're obviously there. Now, the way that she becomes in danger from the serial killer... because she spots the serial killer leaving with her friend, and then her friend's killed later. So though she puts two and two together,
right,
and tells the cops. So they have a lineup, and Holly's watching this with me. And when they come up, the first thing she says, "That's a good lineup," because she had experience in law enforcement and stuff. I was like, that's not needed for this film. That's you can keep that. That's not going to give this film an extra star. You can keep that to yourself. But during the lineup, the one chucklehead comes in wearing a gun, and serial killer boy grabs it just as she IDs him, blows open the glass window, and so now he sees her, and then it becomes like, oh, let me shave my head and hide with the Hare Krishnas while I hunt her down.
Well, what was interesting, because when he's shaving his head, like in Taxi Driver, he shaves the sides, gives himself some mohawk. In this, he shaves the center down first. And then that's the end. I'm like, I was like, Jesus Christ. It is like Taxi Driver. They even did the hair backwards.
It's like, but at the end of the scene, like, I hope he doesn't stop.
What was it?
To keep going.
Well, yeah.
He kept going.
What was interesting about that is all of those Hare Krishna scenes where he's disguised as that is a bald cap.
Yeah.
He has a bald cap on. But then later in the film, or like the end, he's actually bald. So obviously there was some timing issues with filming certain scenes when he was supposed to be bald and hadn't shaved his head yet.
Or maybe he was like, I'll do the scene, but I'm not shaving my whole head.
Or maybe it was, I'll shave my head now, do those scenes where I'm bald, and then grow my hair. I don't know. But he had a bald cap because there was a shot. There was a shot where he's bald and his head was so weirdly shaped with the bald cap, and I'm like, is there something wrong with his head? And then I saw it from like an angle. I'm like, oh, it's a bald cap. Okay, I got it. Like, because it obviously had a lot of hair under there that was all bumpy under this cap.
I also respect the film's restraint in having they hired an attractive actress to play a prostitute,
right,
an underage prostitute, but knowing that the character is supposed to be underage, they still did not like show any kind of sexy scenes where the most they did was like close-ups with the makeup. She's wearing like, they do the one pan up of her legs just for that one shot. But after that, they really kind of stick to her as a person and not as an object.
Yeah, and even her talking about being with Johns and all that, it was more respectful, because when she talks later on in the film where she's with the detective, saying that she's been with hundreds of guys, and you could just visibly see him inside go, oh, God. That many? You're 14. But she talks about that and how none of them, care, and she's never really been in love and all that stuff.
Never been on a date.
Never been on a date. And when she talks about that stuff, it's more for the feeling of she's very, very young and she just hasn't experienced love yet, because she's so young. And that's really what the scene was trying to portray. They didn't go into detail about what she did, how she did it, who she did it with. They didn't do any of that stuff. which was a good idea. It was the right move.
Yeah, I just feel like if this film had been made 10 years earlier, it would have been a lot sleazier.
Probably would have been set in New York too.
Russ Meyer would have filmed it, and no good would have come of it. I just thought for what it is, which is an exploitation thriller, action thriller, and not really meant to be quality, but meant to just fill a screen. I think the film's very well done. I thought it was. I think it's an accomplishment of what you can do on a low budget with, even with a thin script or a thin concept. But I thought everybody put in effort in this film, and you had some great performances by some great actors in it. And it's not a good movie, but I appreciate the effort that went into it.
Same. I
had fun. I enjoyed it.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to. I really did.
Same here. I was expecting something sleazier and dirtier and more 70s.
And I did appreciate that it wasn't a New York movie for a change. That it was a California film. It was a Hollywood Boulevard, film. I knew it was not L.A. because of the stars, but or is Hollywood Boulevard in L.A.? I don't even know. Actually, I actually don't know. I know. I should know, but I don't.
I've never been.
I've never been either. It's probably Hollywood Boulevard is probably in Hollywood. I'm just going to go and say that. So
it makes sense on paper. It makes perfect sense.
So, and then the way the film ends after he gets shot, the only words he speaks are "It hurts, it hurts."
No. I thought he said it ends now.
Did he say it ends now?
That's what I thought. I didn't have subtitles on. I thought he said it ends now. I thought that's what he said.
Oh, I thought he said it hurts.
Hold on. I'll
now we got to know. I mean, if we're going to review this properly, we need to know now.
Well, I can check the quotes in IMDb. If it's like the guy's last words, they'll probably have it. I'm skimming that right now. A lot of quotes from this movie. There's a lot of great dialogue in this film too. I mean, it's not here. I have no idea what he said. We'll have to go back and check it. I could have sworn because I rewound it and turned it up.
Oh shit!
And I thought he said, "Now it ends" or "It ends now."
Fuck.
Or something like that.
See, I don't have a copy of this, so I can't just pop it up. We need to know now.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do. Do you have any idea how many people are screaming right now?
Nobody's screaming about this film.
Listen, if they're anything like me, where we're talking about something and we don't exactly know, it's like, come on, what the fuck? Pull up your copy and throw subtitles on while you're doing that.
Yeah, while I'm doing that, you got something to talk about?
Well, the fact that Dick Shawn, who I really like him. I mean, he was in The Last Starfighter, which we already reviewed. And if we had our old, format of challenges, can you guess what movie I'd be challenging to you right now?
No, I can't because I'm looking up this line of dialogue.
Oh, even just by nostalgic memory.
No, I'm a little blank.
I would be challenging you to Victor Victoria. I mean, that's what I would be doing. There's 100%. I'd be challenging you to Victor Victoria.
I was definitely getting Victor Victoria vibes off of May. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because the same guy.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is ironic because in what? I mean, he wasn't gay in The Last Starfighter. But he was in this, and he was in Victor Victoria. But he was married, has 4 children. So he was a stage actor. So he was he was always in costume, like like he's Broadway and stage talent. So it was just something that he was really good at doing, and I love him for it. He died. He had a variety show, right? He had a variety show, and they said one of the things that he used to do in this variety show is he would lay really, really still, or lay down on the stage or fall down and then lay really still, and you'd get laughs and all that. Well, in, what was it, 1989? Something like that. He had a stage show, variety show, where he collapsed on stage and everybody thought it was part of the show. But what he had at that moment was a massive heart attack. And he died right there. He's one of the few people who have died on stage. So I thought that was, obviously that bummed me out too. I didn't realize, I knew he passed away. I didn't know how. So.
Well, you'll be happy to know that you are correct, sir.
I am. Ho ho.
Yes, you are. His final words are, "It hurts." It took me 3 different.
It hurts.
Yeah, it took me 3 different tries to find subtitles that had that section.
And the reason, so when I watched the film and he says that, and I'm like, oh, I get what they're doing here, because the whole time in the film, he's doing all of these horrible things to try and feel something, and realistically, he doesn't, and that's why he keeps doing it. So in the end, yeah, and at the end when he dies and he gets shot, he actually feels something, and it's pain. It hurts. So I think that's what they were going for. That's what my feeling is. And
I think at the end he finally learns what it feels like to be a woman.
Oh my God. All right. I think it's time to rate this one.
Do you now? So what are you feeling on the whole rate situation?
Well, hold on. I actually don't have the IMDb page up. Let me pull it up real quick. Angel, you're my angel. 1983. That's what IMDb says. It's at a 5.8. Yeah, it's a little low. I don't know if I'd go 7 on this, because I just don't think it's good enough to be a 7.
It's a strong 6.
It is
It's definitely a strong 6.
I mean,
if we were doing halves, I would definitely go 6.5.
Exactly, and I mention that all the time. If we could do halves, this is definitely a 6.5 for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, 7 would be nice to give it, but it doesn't really. It succeeds, but it doesn't exceed anything.
As
and
much
I
as
that's important.
Yeah, as much as I enjoyed it, I just can't, under any good conscience, give it a 7. We've given, better movies 7. So
yeah, but for the subject matter, it's a lot better than it should be.
That is the truth.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm with you. I think 6 is the best we can do on this one, but I think it deserves it. And I hope if you haven't, if for some weird reason you're listening to this and you haven't watched it, I recommend it.
Same, definitely. Yeah. I am gonna check out the sequels. I'm gonna check out the sequels for sure.
I've got 1080p copies on the Plex. Now there is an audio commentary to this, but it's on the Blu-ray, and I didn't have access to the Blu-ray, so I haven't heard it. But there is audio commentary for this film available.
I find myself listening to audio commentary less and less these days, because I unfortunately don't have the time. I feel like that's going to be something where when I'm retired and I have more free time, I'm going to binge so much shit and listen to so many audio commentaries that I've missed out on for the last 20 years. I really think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to squeeze in like one a week. I'm really trying to, especially the older, like the black ones for like the historians on like the silent films. I'm trying to watch more of those.
Yeah,
and,
I wish I had that kind of time. I don't.
Yeah. Now speaking of taking time to watch films. Since we've rated Angel and kind of said what we felt about the film, that means we're moving on to our challenge for next week.
That's right. So we're going to spin the wheel.
No.
Oh, no. We were going to do long legs.
We're going to do long legs. We're coming into the Halloween month, which we're actually in right now, so we're kind of one behind. But I wanted to try to focus on horror films this month, so instead of putting together a new wheel or anything, I really wanted to do something a bit more recent. And back to the old days where our challenges were, I've seen it now, you have to, because it was bad.
Yeah.
I'm challenging you to long legs, and I want to review it next week.
That sounds great, because I haven't watched it yet, and 3 different people have told me that they were very disappointed in this movie. You're one of them.
Make that yeah. I was okay. Then don't make it 4.
You're one of the 3. So, and 2 of them have told me that they had to go online and look up the film, the ending, the film itself, because they didn't understand what was going on. Now, I don't think I'll have to do that. Maybe I will, but I'm sure I'll understand what's happening. But they said they had to go look it up because it's a fucking shit show, apparently.
Make it 3. I did the same thing.
Oh, really?
But only because you'll see.
Don't give anything away. Don't give anything away.
I didn't do it because I needed to understand the film. I wanted to know what other people thought of the film. I've been doing that more recently now. I'll check out other YouTube videos on people that are trashing the films,
right.
or if I hated it, I'll find people that liked it and try to see what I'm missing. So so after I saw this, I watched videos by 2 or 3 people that absolutely loved this film, and I was not converted.
Okay.
So, but I'm dying to hear what you think about it. And,
yeah, I know Mare's probably going to hate it, just because
she likes horror films. She
does. No, she loves horror films. She loves horror films. I told her all of the different horror films that I have that I just that I have on Plex, and she was very excited about it. Like the new Salem's Lot is now available. Long Legs, Speak No Evil. All of that. So,
Speak No Evil. I need to watch the original before I watch the American remake.
Oh, I didn't realize this is a remake.
Yeah, it's from like 2 years ago. It's
What?
not an old film.
Oh my god!
They just, it's like Funny Games, but with less time between the two, or Good Night Mommy. They do these American adaptations, and usually it's by the same director too, but it always ends up feeling different.
So the original film, is it foreign? I imagine it's a foreign film.
Yeah, I forget. It's like Swedish or something like that.
Okay.
Norwegian, or you know me with that. I'd have to look it up. But it's a foreign film. Yeah.
It's from Iceland.
I want to watch both of them. So maybe we'll get to that later in the month, depending on.
I don't know if I'll watch.
Chance to watch.
I don't know if I'll watch both. I don't have the time.
No.
Don't.
But maybe that'll be one we review further down the line.
Yeah. Yep. I'm definitely interested.
But for now, I want you to dig deep into Long Legs and tell me what you think.
Yes, that sounds like a plan. I do. Just too many people, and I've seen. So when the movie first came out, and I'll save this for next week, but very quickly, when the movie came out, like its opening weekend, or when it got its first few set of reviews, Rotten Tomatoes had at one point a 100% perfect score, and it had something like it was in the 90 percentile for the audience score. So they basically took that tiny little snapshot, and they did a rave, trailer, or like a little, just like a 30-second kind of spot, and it was like the 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, the scariest movie in the last 10 years. Obviously, they took a quote from somebody who hasn't really watched anything, horrific. But so, have you only watched horror movies that have come out in the last 10 years? Because I'm sure there's plenty of whatever. Anyway, so they took that little snippet and they turned it into that. And when I saw it, I even bought into it. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm definitely interested. And then I heard from you and 2 other people, and they're like, yeah, it's really disappointing. So then I went back and I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes score, which, by the way, is not a really good, it's not very indicative of how a film really is. It really isn't. The IMDb score rating is a lot better.
You've seen some of the sources for these reviews. It's like, man, like, you know, if I put a little more elbow grease in, they'd be posting our reviews. I mean, like, it's anybody.
And that's literally the truth.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's nowhere. It's like in the 70 percentile for critics and in the 60 percentile for audience. So it is not what it was when those raves came out initially, because they jumped on it as quick as they could.
We fall for it every time. They did the same thing with Megan. They'll do the same thing with the next. You know, every now and then they release a horror film that they're not bullshitting when they say it's
right.
You know,
like Barbarian.
Too often
I can't recommend that film enough.
But too often we fall for it, and
that is correct.
You know,
that is 100% correct.
That's it. But so we'll be reviewing that next week, and then hopefully you'll challenge me to something else horrific.
I'm going to start thinking about what that's going to be. I'm going to try and make it a newer film, so you know, just something we haven't seen. October. Yeah, for sure. So,
but try and hurt me.
Try and hurt you?
Yeah, well, because I'm hurting you with this one. Trust me.
Well, I mean, again, you said there's a handful of people that really loved it. So
yeah, but I think they're wrong.
You never know. I could be one of those people.
It's possible. It's possible.
It's definitely. I mean, we've disagreed not many times, but we have disagreed.
That's why I'm honestly curious what you think about this film, and I'm dying to discuss it with you.
And I've been dying to see it just because of the negative feedback that I've heard from people I know and what I've read and whatnot. So I want to say on IMDb it's like a 6.6 or something like that, which is probably more accurate. See, on Rotten Tomatoes, someone could say, it was all right, and that would be considered a positive review. So that's why that system isn't good.
I might have been less disappointed. I still would have been disappointed, but I think I would have been less disappointed if the hype hadn't led me to the film. If I just like stumbled upon it and said, oh, okay. I mean, I didn't even realize Nicolas Cage was in it until I watched it. Same.
I didn't know either, and I was like, oh my God, he's in it. Wow, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's... but I can't wait to talk about it.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go.
Up,
let's go wrap this up. There we go. All right, everybody. This is episode 424 of Moviesucktastic. As always, thank you for joining us. Go to our website, our newly designed website at Moviesucktastic.com, and you can download the show to your device. You can listen to the show right on the website, or if you're going to it from your device, you can listen to it that way. Or you can click on the YouTube link and go right to YouTube and watch the actual episode that we just did. You can go to iTunes and you can listen to the show there as well. You go to Facebook.com/Moviesucktastic and you can see everything that we post about the show, trailers, whatever we're doing. It's usually going to end up on Facebook. You can email us at themovieguys@Moviesucktastic.com. Also go to the website and fill out the online form, and you can send us an email that way too. You can call us. You can leave us voicemail at 908-514-4470. You can download the Moviesucktastic app so that you can listen right from your device. And that's Moviesucktastic.com/mst.apk, or just go and download your favorite podcast player on whatever device you're using and do a search for us, and you'll find us. Every single episode is listed. And you can go to our letterboxd.com/Moviesucktastic site. See what we're doing there. Scott's doing that one. It's looking great. And that's all I got. Do you have any words of wisdom, Mr. Wilson?
You know what my words of wisdom are.
you better be 14, baby.
Or I'm going to have to throw you back for being too young.
Too old.
Too old.
For
that's
being
right.
too
That's
old.
Or too old. That's not sinister if I say too young.
Too young. I mean, it almost sounds like he has morals.
Yeah, right? I ruined it. Sorry about that.
It's okay. We fixed it. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week when we review Long Legs. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Reminded me of Matt Gates.